God save the wallet.
Welcome back to the God Save the Wallet, and today we're going to look at one of the games on the Sunday night on Premier League. It's going to take place in St James Park, which is Newcastle home versus Tottenham Hotspur away. Well, I think this is quite an interesting analysis and prediction that we have here, because as you know, that we use quite a bit of data, quite a bit of analysis here, a bit of calculation, artificial intelligence that's all around the place right now, and all those kind of give us quite a pretty funny data, I would say. Quite an interesting game to analyze in this week, beside the Arsenal versus Brighton, and also the Northwest Derby that I'm going to analyze later, which is going to be last video of the week. Well, when we look at Newcastle, it surprisingly had a quite decent result previous season, which ending in, I believe, is 7th place, correct me if I'm wrong. And Tottenham Hotspur has always been one of those better games, based on London, a bit of money, however have never been to the champion or the first place of Premier League, never be in the first place of Champions League as well. Like, the best are only runner-ups for Tottenham. Well, to be honest, both teams are more of a business team. So what I mean by that is they are more into money and stuff. So one of the correlation that we can see here is who is hometown, where are we playing. So in this case, it's going to be in St James Park, which means that it's home of Newcastle. Well, thing is, since it's one of those pretty business form of a team in Premier League, so which means those the boss of Newcastle, they're probably gonna be in there since it's their hometown game. And on the other hand, it will same apply to Tottenham probably after Christmas in the other game as well. But nevertheless, it's also quite important to look at the data here. And I would look at the previous season, the first game, which is Tottenham home and Newcastle away. When we're in the Tottenham Hotspur's stadium, Tottenham have won 4-1 against Newcastle. And funny enough, on the other play, which is the 13th of April, which we played in St James Park, and Newcastle have won 4-0 against Tottenham Hotspur. Well, and also a quite interesting data that we can see here, the Spurs have had 72.9 possession on that game, and they did not score once. Newcastle, on the other hand, they have 27.1% of possession only, however they score 4 times, and 4 scores, they have 5 shot attempt and 5 on targets, which means 4 out of 5 of shots they're gonna score, which is a very high shot conversion rate we're talking about here. So it's actually quite surprising and a very beautiful data that we can see from Newcastle on the second game versus Tottenham. However, if we look at this season's what Newcastle have played the previous 2 games, well, the first game that they have won against Southampton, 1-0 in St James Park as well, and the second game that they have had a draw between Bournemouth, and I think Bournemouth is it's a pretty aight team. It's not that mind-blowing this season, and Newcastle is I did have quite a bit of higher expectation for Newcastle, to be honest, because of the high ranking previous season, and also they have purchased £33 million, a whopping £33 million. Left back from Chelsea, Lewis Hall, fresh meat, 19 years of age, very young, and we can also see that I put quite a bit of expectation of the player William Ursula, the Danish player, the centre forward player, which they have purchased from Sheffield United, 21 years old. I feel like Newcastle have been building up their a bit of an improvement a little bit, not a big change as well, like a lot of unlike Brighton this season. And they also have a pretty solid goalkeeper from Nottingham Forest, purchased a whopping £23 million as well. And to be honest, these players are not like super big expensive player. However, I believe with just by looking at the business mindset in Newcastle, they're trying to purchase something slightly low budget and build their team in such a better way, a more strategy to play in attack and defending, kind of a football that we're talking here. So that's why it's quite I'm having quite high expectation for Newcastle this season. On the other hand, we can take a look at Tottenham Hotspurs. The Spurs has unfortunately draw to Leicester City on the first game, 1-1, which is a pretty bad result, considering Leicester is one of those promoted teams this season. And the Spurs has always been up there, the leaderboard. And the second game, they've played a whopping 4-0 versus Everton. Well, yeah, I know Everton has been quite ass recently. They do not have an ace tactic, and they have been losing big games for the previous 2 games. We don't know what the hell is happening in Everton here. But Spurs does have that. It shows that Spurs does have a quite solid attack here, quite aggressive. It could go very, very aggressive here. However, the defensive line have not been as as high as we expected. Well, we can take a look of the reason why here. Look at the Spurs. They do not have a very stable defense, especially right in the centre back. I have to say though, because if we look at the percentage of the successful defending rates, they do not have a high percentage comparing to better teams such as Manchester United, Chelsea and Arsenal, and also this year Brighton as well. They do not have a solid defense back there. I mean, that could be one of the reasons that they have allowed Leicester City to score once. And however, their aggressive attack did pay back. They do have a very harsh attack, I would say, a very aggressive, quite fast in the middle of the field, sort of trying to increase the shot attempts and shot on target in order to score, which is what they result 4-0 from Everton. Which I think the shot conversion rate does show that Tottenham has a higher advantage in attack here. Well, to be honest, Newcastle have not been bad as well. If we take the previous 10 games, a little bit of number here, Newcastle has 16.8 shot attempts, 5.8 on target and 2.7 of scoring, and the shot conversion rate is 45.7%. On the other hand, Spurs has 14.5, 5.2 and 1.2, it's not that far away from Newcastle as well, although it's slightly higher, but it's not that big of a difference considering both teams are quite close, ending up the previous season on the table. I think we should also take a look of the offensive contribution rate, which especially a bit of highlight here for Newcastle. They do have a way higher advantage here because of a very nice distribution from the midfield area we're talking about. They apply a slightly more pressure towards Tottenham in the previous game on 2023-2024 season, especially the games in St. James Park. The aggressive assists and a lot of shot attempts that apply a lot of pressure to Tottenham. And Tottenham, as I said, their defense has not been doing well, especially playing against teams like Newcastle. They are quite mid, however, they could come in a couple of surprises in the sides of the left-right wings when attacking. And they have quite fast counter-attack as well when we're talking about Newcastle at this moment. So if we have to take the number from 18th of August, which is the previous two games, we can see that Tottenham has a slightly higher increased rate of offensive contribution rate, which also slightly affect the corner kicks opportunity that they are giving here. The increase of contribution rate and the increase of corner kicks, I think these two are slightly correlated, especially of the formation of Tottenham Hotspur this season. On the other hand, when we look at the defending rate of Tottenham, they have quite a bit of unstable in the fouls and cards, as they have slightly increased a little bit in fouls, which resulting a slightly higher pressure from the opposing team, as Newcastle are going to pressure them a little bit from my prediction of this game as well. On the other hand, when we look at Newcastle, they also have a slight increase of the shot conversion rate comparing to Tottenham. However, Tottenham have a more score in conclude in this season. Keep that in mind that they have won 4-0 against Everton previous Saturday, and that does increase a little bit of their shot conversion rate there. So in conclusion, what do I have to say about this team? I think Newcastle is going to have a better possession percentage, more shooting attempts, and also I believe they are going to increase they are going to improve their shot conversion rates. On the other hand, they are going to increase more goals, I assume. And Tottenham are going to risk a little bit from their defense if they do not improve in this coming week. Lastly, I think that these two are it will be quite an interesting match to watch. However, is it an interesting match to bet on? Well, I believe that both teams are quite close to each other, considering previous data that we have analyzed, and I think that, well, I don't think, I calculate a bit of artificial intelligence, and we found out that the percentage of them being a draw, it will be 45%, almost 46%, but if we round it up, it's going to be 45%, and round up everything else, 30% for Newcastle win, and Hotspur winning is 25%. I do doubt this calculation a little bit because of the data here, as we can see that Spurs are slightly better this season according to the previous two matches. However, we do have to also remember that. So, as I said, these two teams are a bit more business football teams, and these two are like, if Spurs are in London playing at a home game, it will be a higher chance of Spurs winning than Newcastle. Because of the, the boss are probably going to purchase a seat or two, invite their whole family, sit there, watch the ball, applies a little bit pressure, and there'll be more fans for Spurs or the home team game as well. So emotionally are just going to affect them slightly more, and it just happened naturally with these football teams, like a more business formation team here. So I do think that if you have to say either team is slightly better in formation, I will say it will be the home team, and in this case will be Newcastle. However, if we look at data and also we compare them into the strength of their player in team, it's most likely going to be a draw, both statistically, artificial intelligence, and also what I think, my own subjective thoughts. And when we look at corner shots, because I did mention a little bit about the corner shot, as the offside of Newcastle has slightly increased, and that also correlates a little bit to corner shot. So it's worth mentioning that we can see that a quite high percentage, if it's more than 9.5 corner shot, 90 minutes, it's around 45%, and it kind of makes sense if both teams add up and most of them are going to be corner shots for Newcastle. And if Newcastle is going to score, it's most likely going to be corner shot or counter attacks. So this will be the case, in my opinion, humble opinion here. We can also see quite a trend of when we see that it's the first team score. So it's quite close, 35%, 30%. 35% first team score is Newcastle, 30% first team score is Tottenham. Very close, because they have very similar strings. So in my opinion, if you have to bet on win, lose or draw in this game, if the draw odds are higher, I do recommend to bet on draw. And it's one of those games to not bet on the same tickets as the others as well. So there you have my verdict of this game. Well, a little bit of explanation of if I were to bet, how I would to bet this game. I would say that it will be easier to bet if this game is going to be draw. And half game or 45 minutes is going to be draw as well. So there you have a higher odds. If you're going to bet on how many scores in total, it seems like that the scores, it will be higher than 2.5. It's quite high. As what we calculate here, which is 55% in general, or even 65 for more than 3.5 goal. So if the odds are high here, I would either recommend you to do half 45-minute draw, 90-minute draw as a ticket, or either team wins but 2.5 as a ticket, more than 2.5 score as a ticket, if you understand what I'm saying. And it seems like the final score in total in 90 minutes, it will be between 2 to 3, which is quite high in percentage in artificial intelligence as well. So that's why this will be a nice consideration for betting for one game as well and one ticket. So I do recommend betting on this game, and it will probably come in quite high odds as well. That is my verdict. In conclusion, I would have to say that I do predict that Newcastle are going to have a slightly more aggressive than Hotspurs, as they do have their advantage as it is their hometown playing in Newcastle St. James Park, and they will try to use a higher possession in order to gain more opportunity for attacking. Use more corner and counter attacks, that's what I said. And on the other hand, if you look at the Spurs, they will have a more careful play, a more careful tactic. They're probably going to have a very solid defense this game, which will be one of their loopholes, I would say. Is pretty hard for them to have a strong defense looking at the previous two games. But they will try, I believe. The defense are going to have a lot of pressure. However, they will also try to use counter-attack in order to score and to hopefully win the game. So this will be my prediction, and also the analysis we have from the data we have from God Save the Wallet. And I hope this is going to help you. Please consider drop a like, maybe pop a comment, share the video, tell me what is your opinion, etc, etc. Subscribe is free, you don't have to pay. And if you want to see more in-depth analytics, then please feel free to go to our Patreon, and that's going to give you a little bit more insight of this game, and I do think this is a quite interesting game to look at as well. I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace out.